if you get a divorce and you were joined on everything, there's a lot of complication there. So now when you go seek for credit on your own, you're probably going to qualify for less credit.
Wow.
Because
it almost looks like the price is doubled almost to a degree.
If you can't come to an agreement of what you're going to keep, the husband, and what the wife is going to keep, the judge will do it for you, okay?
Right.
And then they'll give you a time limit. More than money, it's about empowerment. Welcome to MSI Wealth Chronicles. Today, we're going to be speaking about how different life events can affect your credit. So, Jesse,
yes, sir.
Can you tell me from the interactions that we have with our clients, what is the number one life event that affects someone's credit that you've seen?
The biggest thing that affects somebody's life event is divorce, really. Marriage, you oftentimes are just starting to build. By the time somebody gets to a point of divorce, hopefully that you never do, but if you do, divorce seems to be the biggest one, and it hammers their credit. Now, what have you seen as far as when it comes to divorce? What normally have you seen that really gets in the way of people's credit?
Yep. So I would have to agree with you. Divorce is probably the number one thing on a life event that affects our clients' credit scores. And a couple things that I'd like to go over is a big myth that a lot of people don't know about is that a divorce decree does not supersede the original contract that you signed with the creditor, right? A lot of our clients think that. A lot of our clients have, let's say, a collection for a credit card that they had joint with their ex.
Right.
And they think that because they have that divorce decree that they could get that removed, that they're not liable for it. And little do they know that a divorce decree, whatever the judge says, it's not going to supersede the original contract that you had with that creditor, that credit card creditor, the apartment complex, the mortgage that you had, the vehicle that you had. So yeah, that's a big myth there. And so real quick, let me ask you this: can you give our listeners any tips about what they could do, to prevent some of these big tragedies?
A lot of the things that you can do start at the point of marriage, right? When you get married, don't open a joint account. You know what I mean? You were talking about having to separate those accounts, and if the judge gives your spouse, your ex, the liability for that, that doesn't take away, like you said, doesn't take it away. So get an account. You can, if you have a regular credit card, let's say I got a credit card and I want my wife to be able to use it, I make her an authorized user and not have to have a joint account. And that sets, hoping that never happens, of course, hoping that divorce never happens. That's one of the ways you can set yourself up for a positive outcome if it goes negative.
And not only that, here's a big one. So I agree 100% with you. If you do get some type of credit, whether it's an installment credit, whether it's a revolving credit, like a credit card, right? It's okay maybe to have a joint, or if you would like, but don't make it the majority of your credit, right? Try to each have, like if vehicle, for example, your vehicle, maybe if you're financing it under your name, your wife's vehicle under her name. Two reasons why I believe you should do that. Number one, you already touched up on it, is if you get a divorce and you were joined on everything, there's a lot of complication there, because the judge is going to more than likely say, you take your vehicle, right? But what he's going to tell you to do is you have to refinance the vehicle. The wife has to refinance her vehicle under her name, refinance it only under her name. The husband has to refinance the vehicle only under his name, right? So it's just unnecessary steps that you wouldn't have to go through if you just, have your own credit card, you have your own vehicle under your name, right? And can you have a joint credit card? Yes, but don't make that the majority of your credit cards.
Right.
And then aside of that, here's another one that probably a lot of people don't know about, is if you do joint on everything, not only can it affect you if you end up getting a divorce, but number two, there's a second way that it can affect you now. And that second way is that let's give the example of a vehicle. Let's say a husband and wife, right? They put both vehicles under both of their names. So that means that the husband has what? How many vehicles under his credit?
Two.
Wife has how many vehicles under her credit?
Two as well.
Okay. Yep. And there's a lot of creditors out there. When they extend credit to you, they look at your credit score. We've talked about that, right? And then they look at your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So yes, so if you have some of your husband's credit on your credit, if you have some of your wife's credit on your credit, what that's going to do is going to impact your debt to income ratio. So now when you go seek for credit on your own, you're probably going to qualify for less credit because you have your husband's vehicle on your credit report.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I learned that tip through investing. An investor told me a long time ago to do that because he said, look, whenever you want to buy a house, if you can put it under only your only under your name or your spouse's name, okay? Only one. Because when you buy your second one, okay, now you could put the second house under the other person's name.
Okay.
Do you follow me?
Makes sense. Yep.
Because if you put the house under both of your names, now when you go get another home, right, your second home, let's say, because you want to start investing, now the bank will look at your DTI. Okay. When he looks at yours or hers, they're going to see the mortgage on there. Right. So now you're going to qualify for less of a home on your second home. Why? Because you already have a mortgage joint with your wife. But if you do it only under one person's name, and then the second house only under the other person's name, whenever that second individual applies for the home, they're not going to. This first home is not going to affect their DTI.
That's huge. Now that you say it, it makes sense. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you put under both of y'all, it's almost like it to the banks and stuff. It almost looks like the price is doubled almost to a degree. So you really limit your capabilities. Just something I didn't know. MSI Wealth Chronicles. Everybody's here to learn, right? That's awesome. Now you were talking earlier about refinancing like the car. If they or only getting it in their name, if they are, let's say they have to get divorced. They did the American thing. They fell in love. They got married. They got the cars together. They got loans together and stuff. What do you recommend with like all of their? Would you recommend doing refinancing all their personal stuff to whoever it goes to?
I mean that's the only really solution. Whenever you get a divorce. The judge doesn't get involved as far as what the plan is. They'll give you tips, but it's real simple. If you can't come to an agreement of what you're going to keep, the husband, and what the wife is going to keep, the judge will do it for you. Okay.
Right.
And then they'll give you a time limit. They'll give you a time limit to either sell that car. Like let's say I have a vehicle. I'm getting a divorce. It's under both my name and my ex-wife's name. And the judge tells me that I get to keep my car, but I need to make the payments. But also, I need to put that car. I need to take her name off of the loan because it'll affect her if it continues to be under her name as well.
Right.
So they'll give you some solutions, and one of the solutions is to refinance. If you have an installment loan, that's really the only solution. I mean, there's two solutions, right? Whenever you get a divorce, there's really two solutions. Okay, I have a vehicle. The judge told me I could keep my vehicle, but it's under my name and my wife's name. I have two solutions. A, refinance it only under my name. That's one option. Number two, sell the vehicle. Now it's closed. Case is closed, right? The vehicle. And then I go buy my own vehicle only under my name. That's really only two options. With credit cards, you can't refinance a credit card.
No,
so with
unfortunately you can't.
With the credit card, if a judge says, okay, this is your credit card, you're going to take care of this credit card debt, but let's say all the credit cards were under both of the individuals' names, right? So what you have to do is, the solution is you pay off those credit cards. Wife pays off this credit card because she agreed in the divorce decree. Husband pays off these credit cards because he agreed in the divorce decree. And when you get them to zero, what do? You close them. Or you could even close them before. You could close them before. As a matter of fact, I recommend that you close them immediately. So in other words, close these credit cards, but even though they're closed, you're still required to make the monthly payments. When you get them to zero, Now that's it. It's a closed credit card that was joint. You can't open it back up. It's closed. So if that was your only credit card, if all you had was joint credit cards, before they get to zero, make sure you open up your own credit cards. That way you have your own.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because that whole scenario brings up, two questions. I mean, you hear a lot of times, it's something I wanted to ask about. You hear a lot of times, well, my husband or my ex-wife, my ex-husband or whatever is supposed to pay for that. I'm not going to.
Exactly.
What happens when they don't pay when their ex is supposed to be paying?
I mean, I have to tell this to our clients all the time. I always tell them that what I told you earlier, a divorce decree does not supersede the original contract that you signed and your husband signed with that creditor. So the fact that your husband is violating the divorce decree, that's a civil case. If you wish, take your ex-husband to civil court, okay? Why? Because it was court demanded that he needed to, pay off this credit card, that he needed to, either sell the car or refinance it under his name by such and such date. Yes.
Right.
So that's a civil case, and if they wish, they could, sue their ex-husband or ex-wife.
Wow. Yeah. So it sounds a lot like, if you got to be nice to each other for a little while there, right?
Yeah. It makes it so much easier because I didn't know this until I don't know. I think it was a friend that I had. But anyways, he went through divorce, and I didn't realize this. If you get a divorce and you could agree on who's going to keep what, put it all on paper, take it to the judge, the divorce could be short, simple, and easy. Yeah. What drags out the process is whenever you can't come to an agreement, and then the judge has to do it for you. Yep, that's when it becomes complicated. But I did want to add one other thing on. We were talking about divorce, of course, and how it affects your on how you should put stuff solely under your name if you're able to do that and not do joint, right? Another negative, if you put, all your credit as a joint, is last week we learned that 30% of our credit score comes from what?
It comes from amount owed, how much you owe.
From debt, yes.
For how much debt you have.
So imagine this. So if 30% of our debt, 30% of our credit score comes from debt, all right? Imagine if I put both of our vehicles under both of our names, okay? There's two $20,000 vehicles. How much total car debt am I going to have on my?
You got 40 grand on both of us.
But if you put your car payment, your car loan under your name, and she puts her car loan under her name, how much are you going to have worth of installment vehicle debt? How much you going to have now? Exactly.
$20,000.
That $20,000 will make a difference on your credit score. So I mean, there's several reasons, why this advice is important, like we just said.
Yeah.
If you do joint on everything, your credit cards, your vehicles, your mortgages, you're going to affect you're going to affect your credit scores more, in other words. Right. So anyways, that's another tip that I wanted to, share with everybody on, why you should actually, if you can, put whatever type of credit you can only under your name, and then whatever type of credit you could put under her name, only under her name. If you want to have a few that are joint, or like you said, I thought that was great advice. Like, let's say on credit cards, instead of doing joint, right, do authorized user.
Authorized user. They have.
Can you tell them? Because some people might not know what exactly authorized user is.
Absolutely. The cool thing about your credit cards is you could make somebody an authorized user, right? Now, what that is they are a signer. They can make decisions about the account. They can pay the account. They can close the account even. They just can't make somebody else an authorized user. That's the only ability they don't have. So the difference between having one credit card that's a joint account and having a credit card with one person own it and the other one doing authorized user, for all intents and purposes, is nothing in a marriage. Yep. My wife and I, and the nice thing is it also lets you, let's say we have a credit card that ran up, and this actually happened. One of our credit cards, we ended up running up because of a situation, but we were going to be buying something and we needed a higher score. She took my name off of it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And instantly that debt just was gone. Because though it reports, when you're an authorized user, it reports on your credit from the date that it started.
Yes.
So if you have a 10-year-old credit card that your wife has or your husband has, and they put you on it, you now have a 10-year-old credit card on your history.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can, again, you know, you were talking about it's about empowerment.
Yep.
Understanding
Good
when
job.
to take something off and when
Yep.
to put something on.
Exactly.
This is where on a monthly, daily, weekly, annual
Yes.
situation where you can
Yes.
actually manipulate your own credit
Yep.
score for the benefit of your household.
Yep. And that's great. That's great advice. And I wanted to add something to that. It's funny that you mentioned that that it's not about only money. It's about empowerment, right?
It is.
So I just went through that same exact scenario myself. I don't mean to throw my sister under the bus, and hopefully she's not listening. But she has a long time ago. She put me as an authorized user of one of her credit cards. Okay, long time ago.
Right.
When my credit was new, and let's say my credit was a year old, right? Because I know how credit works, empowerment.
Yep.
I knew that I needed more length of credit history. So I asked her, I thought, who do I know that has a credit card that's never paid late, that keeps it at zero, and that has had it for a long time? And I thought of my most responsible sister, and I told her to add me on as an authorized user. And I've been on her credit card for years.
Right.
Well, anyways, here recently, I refinanced an investment property that I have. And before I refinanced it, I wanted to make sure that my credit was in tip-top shape. And I saw that I had a credit card with like a $20,000 balance. I looked to see, what credit card it was. It was my sister's. So I did exactly what you did. I called her up. I said, hey, can you take me off of that credit card that you had me on as an authorized user? She called, got me removed. Within 30 days, it was updated on my credit report. In other words, that credit card was no longer on my credit report.
Yeah.
And my score jumped up. And then now I went to do the refinance. So yeah, it's funny that we both, did that. But real quick, I wanted to paint a picture. So we pray that nobody ever goes through divorce, right?
Absolutely, never want that to happen.
But let's give the scenario of what we were just breaking down for everybody. So let's say that Jesse is the husband, I'm the wife, okay? And scenario A is our credit cards that we have are all joint, okay?
Right.
We get a divorce, okay? Here's what we have to do. Like we said earlier, we're going to have to so let's say we decide that you keep 2 credit cards, I keep 2 credit cards, right?
Right.
Those 2 credit cards that you have, you're going to pay those down.
Right.
These 2 credit cards over here, I'm going to pay them down. So we have 4 credit cards together, right? So what's the first step that we're going to do if we want to get out of this peacefully? What we're going to do is we're going to close those credit cards. You're going to close your 2.
Yep.
I'm going to close my 2. We're going to pay them down, okay? When they get to 0, there we go.
And they're no longer on your credit.
Hopefully we're in good terms, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
But, in other words, until those cards are at 0,
we're still attached.
If you're still attached, because if one of us pays late, if I pay late, it affects your credit score.
Yeah.
If you pay your 2 credit cards late while you're trying to pay them down to 0, it affects me. So we're still attached, like you said, until those cards are 0.
That means I have to tell somebody I'm not even married to what my finances are, no matter what.
Yes.
Wow.
So now here we go. Here's scenario B. Scenario B, we're married. You're the husband. I'm the wife. But we listen to this advice on MSI Wealth Chronicles, right? And so now we have 4 credit cards. I have 2 only under my name.
Yep.
You have 2 only under your name. I added you to these 2 credit cards as an authorized user. You added me to your 2 credit cards as an authorized user.
Right.
Now we still get the same benefits, right?
Exactly.
My 2 credit cards are going to be on your credit report. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to, my credit history is going to help you.
And everything.
Yep. Your 2 credit cards are going to be under my credit report. So we're going to benefit equally as scenario A, right?
Right. Absolutely.
But watch. Now we get a divorce. Okay. Real simple. I'm going to call my credit card, say, hey, remove Jesse from my credit cards as an authorized user. Bam. He's now not attached to me.
Right.
You're going to call your credit card companies and do the same thing. Ask them to remove me. I pay my own. You pay your own, right?
And you're not in my
if I
financial
pay
business
late,
anymore.
Who does it affect? It affects only me.
Yeah.
You pay late, right?
Just
Who's
affects me.
It affects you. So yes, that's a big thing that a lot of people out there need to know. And we're not trying to say that you need to prepare for a divorce, right?
God, no.
Almost speaking a curse over your marriage, right? But I mean, there's no negative to this strategy. There's no negative to this strategy. So why not?
From the way it sounds, just being the layman here and just kind of thinking about it, I know there are a lot of people that may think, maybe they're saying not to do to do this because you may get divorced. No. You actually seem to get more agility in your for your credit in your marriage by doing it this way. Because whether you're joint or an authorized user, you have all the same benefits. But like we talked about earlier, if I need to remove, say we were married and I needed to, you needed to buy something and I had a bad credit card, I could remove your name from it. And it's now just affecting me and it's no longer affecting you, and we could get that.
Yes.
So it gives you as a couple the ability, again, that empowerment thing, the ability to be able to control what is seen about both of you, and you can get further ahead. Whereas the other way, you actually end up in a worse situation because you everything's on both of you, and you can't isolate anything, and your scores are the same no matter what. You can't boost one side or the other.
Yep, exactly. And I don't know how many times I've seen where the ex paid the car late that was joint, pays the credit card late that was joint, and now they're being negatively impacted. So
I had a client that thinking of that. She lives in Texas. Her ex is in Alaska.
Yep.
He is supposed to have refinanced the car 5 years ago.
Yes.
She pays off his car in a couple of months.
Oh.
And it came down to the reason she kept paying this car month after month after month was because she needed her credit.
Yep.
And she's been paying it forever. And she was, she was just she wanted somebody to look at their credit. Turned out she didn't need help.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was like, have you thought about suing him for that?
Yeah.
To get your money back?
Civil case,
As a civil case, she goes, you can do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's amazing how much people don't know about their credit and how divorce can affect from, joint accounts to you can get your money back.
Yeah.
Pay that bill, get your money back, because all you got to do is sue them for it.
Yep.
And if they don't pay, then it's contempt of court, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Yep. So basically, a recap, right, would be credit cards. Put them under. You have your own credit cards. She has her own credit cards. You could put yourself as an authorized user on each other's credit cards. Installment loans. That's your vehicles, student loans, right? Basically, those. Get your own. I put my vehicle under my name. You put your vehicle under your name.
Right.
I put my student loans under my name. You put your student loans under your name. It'll help out your credit score, like we said. But then number two, God forbid it ever happen. But if it does happen, it'll make the process of divorce, right, a little smoother. Because as they say, right, a divorce emotionally and financially are the two biggest, most stressful things that you could ever go through. So at least, right, maybe this advice, if anybody ever does go through that executes this advice, maybe, this advice helps them out in the financial side of it, because on the emotional side, I don't know if you could, avoid the, just the pain that you're going to go through. But
yeah, hopefully, somebody once told me that's what you call hard advice, because it's that advice that's hard to take at that moment because you are emotional. It is something that, if you're having to go through a divorce, I highly recommend talk to a financial specialist, and talk to your previous other. I don't know what term your soon to be ex, and go, look, let's make sure we both don't end up in a bad place.
Exactly.
Because there's no reason for you to be heartbroken and broke.
Exactly. So Jesse, looks like we're out of time.
Yes,
we
sir.
did. Originally the plan was to go over a couple more, different life events that could affect our credit, but divorce is such a, broad subject.
It's huge.
So we got to go ahead and wrap this up. But did you want to say anything,
Just thank you very much for listening in today. Yes. Remember that if you ever have to be in the situation where you got to do divorce, keep a calm head, go over things carefully, do it right, because it may help you out. Doing it right will be the best way to do it. If you got a bunch of joint accounts, work with your prior spouse and close those, and set both yourselves up by getting your own credit in the process. If you're getting married, it's actually better for all of you if you just make each other authorized users. But really, what I got to say is, take it slow, take it calm, keep your temper, and keep your emotions out of it if all possible. Yep. Because marriage in that case is a financial question at that point.
Yep.
Thank you very much for watching MSI Wealth Chronicles. This was how life events affect your credit. We talked about divorce. If you have comments, please put them below. If you got questions, we'd love to hear you. And have a wonderful day and tune in next time.